Hey, Tammy with New Age Fitness. I wanted to make this video and get it up ahead of time so I can hopefully clarify exactly what we're doing with this challenge and tell you what I'm doing, as well as offer you some little modifications in case if this challenge feels overwhelming. I also want to put out there that if you don't start on May 1st, say you forget or you don't see this challenge until the 5th, maybe you don't stumble across this video until November of this year. You can do this anytime. Like, just take 30 days to really pull out any processed carbohydrates from your diet. And if you're not certain what carbohydrates are in processed foods, that's going to be crackers and chips and French fries and breads and things of that nature. And basically every naughty food, every trigger food you have is going to be taken out. And if you've ever done Whole30, that's almost like a really extreme version of what we're doing. And when I've done Whole30 in the past, it's really made me aware of when I turn to food for other reasons besides hunger. And my biggest takeaway from doing the Whole30 was that processed carbohydrates are the biggest obstacle. And it takes a little bit of preparation. Times when I do things like this, I like to keep things simple. Like, maybe I'll just have steak and a potato and broccoli, period. And that way, it's because if you try and get really complicated with it, it's going to be overwhelming. And fruit is your friend. Now, be careful with fruit that you're not over consuming it if you tend to have unstable blood sugar. So, one of the modifications I wanted to offer you, if you feel really overwhelmed with this challenge, because right now maybe you're eating a ton of processed carbohydrates, then I would suggest a good place for you to start is put a cap on how many servings of processed carbohydrates you have a day. Say right now you're having a breakfast sandwich and then you're having a sub for lunch and pizza for dinner. Maybe you decide, like, okay, I'm going to have 2 servings of processed carbohydrates a day, and everything else has to come from whole foods. And just find what works for you. You know, my big philosophy is do better today than we did yesterday. This doesn't have to be perfect. So yeah, find what works for you. The other thing that I wanted to real quickly tell you guys about is how I'm preparing for this. The old me would be like, oh, it's almost May 1st. I'm going to eat all the processed carbohydrates I can. But the new me that knows my disposition is resolving to go keto for a few days. So I'm actually cutting out all processed or all carbohydrates starting today, processed and unprocessed. And that does a couple of things. It really helps stabilize my blood sugar. It helps rein in my cravings. And when I get to May 1st here in a few days, all of a sudden a potato, a piece of fruit is going to look a lot more appealing than it would after a weekend of like eating tortilla chips and things like that. So I encourage you guys to participate in some capacity. One more thing that I'll add real quick is I really encourage you not to replace processed carbohydrates with processed keto things or artificial sweeteners. There's a lot of things out there that'll show 0 carbs, like things like, I think chips, the keto chips still have a couple carbohydrates in it, but I'm sure you can dig around and you can find some things with artificial sweeteners and no carbohydrates. If you're currently already consuming artificial sweeteners, then that would be a really big challenge to try and cut that out in addition to the carbohydrates this month. So stay consistent on that and just resolve that you're not going to do any additional artificial sweeteners to what you're already currently doing. So we start May 1st. I really hope that people will participate. I'm going to post this in our private group, and I'll post it on the main page with the links to the private groups, but I really want to get people going in the private group, and that way people don't feel as uncomfortable kind of sharing their struggles. So there'll be a link in the comments to the private group, and I hope to see you guys